Welcome back. Now we're going to get to that final part of the closing process, which is obtaining the closing documents. Now, we talked previously about clear to close, that you've been fully approved, everything is done, the repairs are done, you've certified it, the inspector has gone back, and now it's a situation where the title company or the closing company, and depending on where you are, with the lender is going to be preparing the documents. It's got all the dollar figures in there, all the numbers. And so rather than use some highly fluted language like they used to use, they're just closing documents. But this is what you owe still. This is what the proceeds are for everybody involved. This is where you prove a lot of things. So let's kind of go into that. So receiving the documents, it's going to be received 3 days previous to closing. And this is a requirement, guys, nationwide. In fact, there's some serious fines on the part of the lender if they get this thing wrong. Now, the title company has got to have everything in. They've got to have, like, for instance, on inspectors, typically they get paid at closing. Some get the money up front, but that invoice has got to be there. The invoices on the repairs have got to be there, or proof that they've already been paid. All these things have got to be there before they start issuing documents. And then we all get to review them 3 days ahead of time. And again, it has to be accurate. Now, there's going to be some exceptions I talk about at this point, but the big stuff has got to be right. The interest rates, the amount of money that you're putting down, what the mortgage balance is going to be. There's a lot of things that have to be exactly right. And so that is coordinated with the title company, closing company, with the lender. So they work together on this to make sure it's right. Doesn't mean mistakes can't happen. So here's the thing where we need to do. This may look like a foreign language to you. Why is this number here? Why is it there? Why is it credited on one side but debited on the other? This is where the title company, as well as your specialist or your lender or everybody together, can say, all right, if you have this question, we want to make sure you feel good about it. We're going to note any exceptions or anything that's wrong. And so, for instance, very often we see that the inspection invoice is not there, and we can go ahead and add that. So we're all in this to make sure that you understand every detail. Seller has their own side. Their folks are going to go through it. The buyer, which is you, has your side. We're going to go through it so that you understand that everything is done right down to the penny so that it's very, very accurate. But let's talk about errors for a minute. If it's an error is major, the process has to start over again. So here's the thing. Rarely happens. In fact, since this has been implemented in this way, I've never seen it. But what I do is I see what I just talked about, that an invoice is not there or some minor discrepancy. It's easy to fix. They can be done without delay. That's why we look at it ahead of time to make sure that the documents are accurate. And so understand that everybody is going to be working in your interest on your side. You got 3 different groups that are going to be taking care of you: the lender, the title company, closing company, and us. And so that's what happens. So once you have these things, you're going to get a closing packet. Sometimes it's going to be electronic. A lot of times it's going to be mailed for you in paper. Do not throw it away. Keep it in a same place. Have a digital copy of everything somewhere in a safe location. Make sure your tax professional has a copy of all of this, because it's going to make a difference. We talked about various reasons you want to sell your property. It's important for your CPA to have this to give you the proper advice about what to do. It's not required. This is not something that you have to do, you have to keep these things, and the title company has these in perpetuity. But again, I think take care of your own documents. Typically, we want electronic copies when we buy things. And what we do is we store that, we back it up, we have it in multiple places. We have the paper documents also that we keep for a certain amount of time. So we just want to make sure that we always have that information when we need it. And believe me, this doesn't always happen. I will have people call me that I've worked with and say, hey, do you have my closing documents? I can't find them anywhere. That's okay. We always keep a copy, folks. But I think the proper thing to do is for you to keep your own copy. Make sure your tax professional has that. So we've gotten to the closing, right? And now that we own the property, we talked about previously that that's when your property manager takes over, where you get the keys. It is yours, you own it. But what I want to go into next is just some extra bonus stuff that I think is going to be very, very helpful to you. In this, we're going to start out with tax professionals and how they affect your real estate investment. Some of this we've handled, maybe there's a little bit more detail, but I think it's important to notice. So let's go to some bonus content. First of all, thank you so much for going through all of this. I hope it was helpful for you. We're going to do a little bit of conclusion at the end. I'm going to ask you about certain things about this. We're going to talk about how we can stay in communication. But right now, let's go through the bonus content and help you out a little bit more. We're not quite there, but let's just do some extras. How's it sound?